Yes. Okay. All right. Okay, so welcome to the second day of the Selenium training. All right, now today we will be discussing the basic concepts of the programming language. Or in the yesterday's class we have discussed just the introduction part to the Visual Studio, how you work on the Visual Studio, how you write your programs in C# language. All right, so we just discussed the basic only, and then we also saw how can we configure the Selenium DLLs and what is the concept of the DLL, what is DLL, and how can you configure the Selenium DLLs in your Visual Studio application. Alright, so now let's start with the oops concepts. Okay, and then today and tomorrow we will be discussing the oops concepts only, and then after that we will switch to the Selenium. Because now why am I focusing on the oops concept, these objects, classes, why we are discussing this in the starting? It is because if I go to my documentation, that is if I go to the website seleniumhq.org website, I go to the downloads tab, and then I open my API docs for C#. Then out here you see that this is your documentation for C#. Right, now over here if you carefully look into this documentation, these are all the topics that are covered in the documentation. And then in this documentation we can see that we have class, we have interfaces, right, we have enumeration. So in order to understand this documentation you must know the concepts of the programming languages, right? Say suppose what is an interface. In the documentation we have something known as interface, we have classes. Now what is these classes, what is an interface, right? So in order to understand this documentation, since you want to work on the Selenium, and in order to understand this documentation you must be clear of these programming concepts. So that is why the concepts that is mostly used, that topics will be just discussing in the starting. Alright, so let's start then. Say suppose I'll just open my Visual Studio. Okay, hold on. Fine, I'll just a minute. I'll create a new project. I'll add a console application. Okay, I select the folder and I'll add a console application, say second day. Okay, so you see this is your console application second day project. Now out here we have this program.cs class file with us, which contains the main function inside it. Right, now I have this main function. Now say suppose I add one more class into my project, add new item, and then I select a class that I want to add. Say suppose I add a class known as the friend class. Alright, I'll just declare it as public. Fine. Now say suppose there are two features. Now what a friend will have, a friend has a name, so I say string name, and then I also initialize a friend's phone number as well, right? So that will be int phone number. Okay, I'll just declare it as public. Hold on. Okay, so what all features a friend has? A friend has a name and a friend has the phone number. Alright, now in your main function you have created a friend class, and then in your main function in the class that is containing the main function, since the execution will start from the main function only, we have discussed in the yesterday's class, right? So in the main function, say suppose I want to create the object of my friend class. So how do you create the object of the friend class? You say new followed by the name of the class, new friend. Okay, so this will create the object of the friend class. Now what happens in the memory is that, what will happen in the memory is, in the memory we have one object of the friend class, right? And then inside this object, both the features that the friend class has, that is the name of the friend and the phone number of the friend, both the features will be present in this object of the friend class. That actually happens inside the memory. Alright, now you can create as many number of objects you want to create of any particular class. Say suppose I can create one more object of my friend class, say one more object of my friend class. I can create as many number of objects of my friend class. So then inside the memory right now I have 3 objects of my friend class, and all the objects will be having the name and the phone number of the friend. All the 3 objects will be having the name and the phone number inside the memory. Okay, so this is what actually happens inside the memory. That is, when you say new friend, so that means you are allocating a new object. You are this memory is this space is allocated in the memory for one object. Alright, so this is how that is followed. We have a new keyword, so by the help of the new keyword you actually create your object. So right here we are creating the object of the friend class, creating the object of the friend class, right? Now say suppose I say declare my object of the friend class as friend f1 is equal to, say, new friend. Now this f1 is the object reference. Now there is a difference between object and object reference. Okay, there is a difference between object and object reference. Now what do you mean by an object and what do you mean by the object reference? What is the difference between the object and the object reference? Now out here we were creating the object of the friend class, right? New keyword followed by the name of the class, and it was allocating the memory was allocated for this first object, second object and the third object. Now when I say friend f1 is equal to new friend, then this f1 is the object reference. It is not the object. You cannot say that f1 is the object of my friend class. By declaring new keyword followed by the name of the class, you actually create the object. Okay, so this is known as the object reference. That is, inside the memory, say I have one object of my friend class which has the name and the phone number. Now then when you say friend f1, so that means hold on. So that means f1 is pointing towards the object of the friend class. Alright, friend f1, when you say friend f1, so f1 is the reference to the object of the friend class. This is pointing towards the object of the friend class. Alright, similarly you can create another object reference, that is, say friend f2 is equal to new friend. Okay, so that means similarly I can say friend f3 is equal to new friend. So that means right now we have 3 object references. I'll just comment this all. Okay, so we have 3 objects of the friend class, f1, f2 and f3, and these 3 by default, these 3 have been allocated memory, f1, f2 and f3. That means inside the memory we have 3 objects. First is this f1. Okay, then second one is the f2, and third is your F3 object. And all the objects have the name and the phone number. All the objects have the name and the phone number inside them. Alright, so this is how we create the object of any class. Alright, fine. Now now similarly, if you want to assign some value to these objects, to these friend class, then say suppose I say f1 dot name is say A. Similarly, I say f1 dot phone number is, you specify, you give any phone number, a 10-digit phone number, right? Okay, I'll just initialize, I give any phone number. Similarly, for the second name, second friend also, I say f2 dot name is say B, and f2 dot phone number is, you give any phone number. Okay, and then if you want to print them as well, you can print as well, that is inside console.writeLine. Console.writeLine is the command to print anything in C#, right? So I say console.writeLine f1.name. Similarly, console.writeLine, I want to print the name of the second friend as well, f2.name. Okay, and then I'll also write console.readKey so as to read the output that I want to execute, right? So if I run, okay, so you see that it has printed the name of the two friends f1 and f2, that is A and B, the two names of the friends. Alright, okay, now fine, so this is how we create. Now say suppose, hold on, okay, now say suppose I have one more variable with me, that is say public, that is the city of the friend in which he or she lives in. Okay, that is, say suppose I initialize one more variable, the city variable. Alright, I have one more variable, and in my main function, say suppose I assume that I know that my first friend lives in the city, say London. My first friend lives in the city London, and second friend also lives in the same city. Say f2 dot city is equal to London. Rather, all my friends are from the same city, London only, right? So that means, so then what will happen inside the memory is, that is right now we have three objects, name, phone number and the city variable, right? And the name of the first friend is A, phone number is something phone number we have, and the city variable, okay, that is the first friend lives in the city London. Okay, similarly this is my second friend which has name B, then a phone number he has, okay, and city is same London. And similarly your third friend as well will have, like, he is also from the same city London. Rather, all my friends are from the same city. Then you think, then we see that this city variable is becoming a redundant thing, right? This city variable is becoming a redundant thing, that is same city variable we are declaring in each and every object of the particular class. Alright, that is, we have to declare this. We know that all are from the same city. Then why to declare this city variable in each and every class? What is the basic need of that? Why? Rather, we can keep it at one single location and then can access it in all the objects. Right, this can also be the way. So how will you achieve this? How to overcome the redundancy, how to remove the redundancy from your code. That is how will you do this? Now if I declare this city variable as static, now if I declare the city variable as static and if I look into my main function, now you start getting the errors in the city variable. Now why this is so? It is because right now what we have done is, inside the memory we have three objects: name, phone number, and the city variable. Okay, that is, name is a public variable, phone is a public variable, and city is also a public string variable. Now, but then in the friend class we are declaring this city variable as the static variable, right? I am saying that this city variable is a static variable. So by static, what will happen is, now city will be removed from the object of the friend class, and it will be coming at a common location from where all the other objects of the friend class can also use this. Okay, so when you declare the city variable as static, then city will no longer be the part of the object. It will be the part of the class, from where the other objects can also access the same city variable. So then you will not have to declare the city variable inside each and every object and assign the same value to the city variable. You can just declare the city variable inside the class, okay, and then that city variable will be accessible to all the other objects. As many number of objects you have in the class will be assigned to each and every object. So then by declaring the city variable as static, city now becomes the part of the class. It becomes the part of the class. It is no longer the part of the object. It has been removed from the object. Okay, and then if you are trying to access the static variables, then static variables are not accessed with the help of the object of the friend class. Right now I just told you that city variable has now become the part of the class, and it is now declared as static, right? So in order to access the static variables, we will have to access it with the help of the class. Okay, so now I say friend.city, and then you assign the value to it, okay, that is London. Alright, and then I'll just comment this. Now city is no longer the part of the object, so you cannot access the city variable with the help of the objects. Alright, that is, you will have to access the static variables with the help of the class. Fine. And yes, and static variables, one more thing is, static variables are accessible inside the static functions only. Alright, since main is a static function, we know that main is a static function, and then we don't need we should not execute the main function again and again, since we know that main is the main point of execution, right? So that is why the main function is declared as static. That is, we will not be calling this main function with the help of the object of the class, program class, right? We will be directly calling this main function by declaring the main function as the static keyword. And since we are trying to access the city variable in the static function, so that is why also we have declared the city variable as static, because in the static functions, static things can only be accessed in the static functions, or whatever it is in the static functions it is. Alright, so this is what is the concept of the static. And then so now when you say console.writeLine and you print say f1.city, okay, f1.city, that is friend.city, right? With the help of the class only we will have to access the city variable, and then now if I run, it prints the city for the friend. Alright, so this is what is this. So static, you can say that the things which are common, you can declare them as static, because city we know that is common for all the friends. So those things you can declare it as static. For example, we know that a four vehicle is having four wheels, like a vehicle is having four wheels. Right, a four-wheeler vehicle is having four wheels. So the wheels we can declare it as static for a four-wheeler vehicle. Alright, or else we can say that every person has two legs. So the the legs we can declare it as static and can initialize the value to 2 for them. Alright, so the common things you can declare it as static inside a class. Similarly, you can even initialize the functions as well in the class. Say suppose I have one function, say public static void say print city. Okay, and I print the city inside it, and then you can directly call this function inside your main function with the help of the class, that is friend.print city. So it will print the city of the friend. Alright, so this is, yes, everybody got it. What is the concept of the static keyword? Because static is most important. In the coming classes as well, we will be making you, like, you should understand what is the concept of the static. Is anyone any doubts? Yes. Any one of you? Yes, Ashwini. No, I cannot hear you. Okay, okay, Sharda. Well, um, this is like how much memory is allocated for an object. Like it depends on what type of an object you have. Okay, that is, we know that integer variables has a different size, string variable has different size, right? So all the objects, like the different objects, we know that like if it is a long variable, then it takes 16 bits. If it is an integer, like long integer string, so accordingly it takes different size. We have different memory allocation for each and every object. Okay, yeah, Ashwin, fine. uh, all right, that's okay. Okay, so this is what is the concept of the static. Alright, now one more concept out here, that is, say suppose now I say, okay, now I say f1 is equal to f2. Now this is the this is very important topic, please understand it carefully. Alright, now when I say f1 is equal to f2, that is, say suppose I have two objects in my memory. This is your first object. Okay, this is your first object and f1 is pointing towards the first object. Similarly, f2 is pointing towards the second object, right? Now friend f1 has three properties with it: the name, phone number, and the city variable, right? Similarly, the second friend also has the name, phone number, and the city variable. Okay, what you are saying, objects in memory and where reference are, I didn't get you, Ashwini. Where reference are f1 and f2 laying, I didn't get you. like this is your object, and these are f1 and f2 are pointing towards the object inside the memory. So these are known as the object reference, that is this is referencing, this is pointing towards the object inside the memory. Alright, objects are only allocated inside the memory, these are just pointing, we have assigned some value, some name to it. Yes. Alright. Okay, fine. Now that means now, okay, so when we say these are the two friends, name, phone and city are being assigned to the two friends, and f1 is pointing towards the first friend and f2 is pointing towards the second friend, right? Now when I say f1 is equal to f2, so then what will happen inside the memory? Then what will happen inside the memory? Let us see the execution. That is, now when I say f1 is equal to f2, and then if I print the names of the two friends, that is f1 dot name and console dot writeline f2 dot name. Okay, yes, anybody can tell me what will be the output when you say f1 is equal to f2, and then after that you try to print the names of the two friends. B only. Okay. Is anyone else would like to try? Okay, so then A and B. All right. Okay, we'll just discuss. Now when I say f1 is equal to f2, so right now f1 is pointing towards the first object and f2 is pointing towards the second object, right? But when you say f1 is equal to f2, so then what will happen inside the memory is f1 right now is pointing towards the first object, but then after saying f1 is equal to f2, f1 will stop pointing towards the object where it is pointing right now, and it will point towards the object where f2 is pointing, that is to the second object which is having the name as B. Alright, so when you say f1 is equal to f2, f1 will also start pointing towards the object where f2 is pointing, that is to the second friend. So then when you try to print the name of the first friend, so first friend, since it is pointing towards the second object having the name as B for the second friend, so f1 dot name will be equal to B and f2 dot name is equal to B only. Alright, yes Harold, have you got it? So then you see that it has printed B and B for the two friends, since A is also pointing towards the object where B is pointing. Alright, yeah, that's good. Fine, so this is very important concept. Please understand it carefully. Have you got it? Yes, everyone? Alright. Okay, so this is how we actually create the objects inside the C#, inside the Visual Studio. Similarly goes with the Selenium as well. Alright, that is, right now we have just discussed the simple example in the C# language. Now say suppose if we similarly say suppose if I configure the Selenium DLLs as well inside our project, and let's just see how can we initialize the three browsers. Okay, that is, we'll just add the reference. I'll add it, say suppose from the Nugget package manager. I'll search for the WebDriver DLLs. Okay, so these are my Selenium.WebDriver DLLs. The latest version is, it says 3.5.2, which it will install. Okay, so I click on the install button. So it's installing. So you see that it is installing the Selenium WebDriver and it has finished with the installation. Okay, then I'll just close this, and then if you look into your references folder, the WebDriver DLL has been installed. It has been added under your project. Right, so then that means you can make use of the Selenium code in your Visual Studio. That is, say suppose let us create a new class, say Selenium concept. Okay, I'll just declare this class as public, and we'll create the main function inside it. Say public static void main. Okay, now I think yesterday also we were discussing the Firefox and the Selenium versions, the compatible versions, which Firefox version is compatible with the Selenium version and vice versa. Alright, so we have discussed in the yesterday's class, that is, if you are working with Selenium 3, then make sure you have the latest Firefox installed in your system, and else if you are working with Selenium 2, that is, as we know that 2.53 is the most stable version up till now, and if you are working with the Selenium 2 DLLs, then Firefox 37 till 40, like Firefox 37 till 40 will be working with the Selenium 2 versions. Okay, so just check the versions as well carefully, because versioning problem usually occurs with everyone. Either Firefox is not the correct one, or Selenium. Okay, so with Selenium 3 the latest will work, but with Selenium 2 you will have to downgrade your Firefox version if you are working with Selenium 2. Alright, now let's say suppose in the Selenium as well, that is, say we know that that if I have to open my Firefox browser, right, so how will you create, that is, we will have to create the object of the Firefox browser class. First of all, we will have to initialize the Firefox browser class, right? So how will you initialize? You say Firefox, okay, Firefox driver. I create the object of my Firefox driver class, and for the Firefox driver we will first of all have to import the class for it, that is using openqa.selenium.firefox. Okay, so I press Ctrl plus dot, and then you import the class using openqa.selenium.firefox. Okay, so this is how, like, this will initialize the object, this will initialize your Firefox driver class, that is, you are simply creating the object of the Firefox driver class. Okay, just a minute guys, let me check my Firefox version. If I check my Firefox version, it is Firefox 37. Okay, so that means I will have to I'll just configure the Selenium 2 DLLs as of now. Okay, because I'll have to reinstall my Firefox latest version. Okay, I'll do it in tomorrow's class. Let us check with Selenium 2 as of today. Okay, I'll just remove these DLLs, the DLL, and then I'll just add the reference of my Selenium 2 DLLs, that is out here. Okay, 2.53. okay, and I'll add these DLLs. Okay, so we'll just see the initialization of the three browsers as of now. Alright, now say suppose I have created the object of my Firefox driver class, new Firefox. Alright, and then now if I want to initialize, if I execute my code, I click on the start button, then it says that, now it gives you an error. It says that there were build errors. Would you like to continue and run the last successful build? I say no, and then it says, it gives you an error. It says that, the error says that program has more than one entry point defined. Compile with main to specify the type that contains the entry point. That is, now what do you mean by this error? It says that your Visual Studio application, it has more than one main function, more than one entry point. Main is the function where the execution happens, right, in the beginning. So since we have two main functions in our single application, so that is not supported in a Visual Studio project. Alright. Okay, that is, we will have to comment one main function. We can have only one main function inside a single console application project. Fine, we can have only one main function only. So now if I build my solution, so now you see that the build is succeeded. Okay, that is, we have only one main function inside it. We have only one main function inside it. Okay, so then I click on this start button. So then you see that it has initialized your Firefox browser. It opens a blank Firefox browser. Since we haven't navigated to any particular website or we haven't done anything, I just initialized my Firefox driver class. So then you see it has initialized a blank Firefox browser. Okay, so this is how we initialize the Firefox browser in the Selenium 2. If you are working with Selenium 2, this is how you initialize your Firefox browser. But if you are working with Selenium 3, then there is 3 lines of code that you have to write in order to initialize a simple blank Firefox browser also. Okay, so that also we will discuss. As of now, we'll just work with the Selenium 2 only, since I have Firefox a previous version. Okay, so I'll just update it, and in tomorrow's class we'll work with the Selenium 3. Alright, okay, so this is how we create the Firefox driver class. Similarly, if I have to open my Chrome browser, now how will you open your Chrome browser? Okay, or else, like okay, one more point, like out here we have created the object by declaring a new keyword. You create the object of the Firefox driver class, right? So I can also say Firefox driver, say fd is equal to new Firefox driver. So that means this fd is pointing towards the Firefox driver class. Alright, and then with this object of the Firefox driver class, you can perform any operation that you want to. That is, say suppose you want to navigate to any URL on the Firefox browser, right? So you say fd.url. We have one property, URL property, and then you specify the URL which you want to navigate to. Say I say google.com. I want to navigate to Google. Alright, so fd.url is you navigate to any particular URL you want to. Alright, so now if I execute, it initializes your Firefox browser and then it navigates to the website as well. Alright, so with the help of with this object of the Firefox driver class, you can perform many operations. You can just have a look at this list which comes up. Okay, we have so many operations according to your requirement. You can just work with all the operations. Okay, so this is how we initialize the Firefox browser. Similarly, if you want to work on the Chrome browser, then we will have to create the object of the Chrome driver as well. Okay, so I say Chrome driver, I'll import the class for it. You press Ctrl plus dot and then you import the class using openqa.selenium.chrome. Okay, say cd is equal to new Chrome driver. I create the object of my Chrome driver class. Alright, I'll just comment this. Now if you have to comment if you have to comment your code, then out here at the top menu we have one icon over here for commenting the code, right? This is your icon for commenting the code, or else the shortcut for putting the comments in your code is you press Ctrl plus K plus C for commenting the code. Okay, similarly if you have to uncomment your code, then you have the shortcut as Ctrl plus K plus U for uncommenting the code. Alright, so this is the shortcut for comments and uncomments. Okay, so I comment my Firefox driver and then say suppose I want to initialize my Chrome browser. So I create the object of my Chrome browser, so that should initialize a blank Chrome browser, right? So let's see if I execute. Okay, so when you execute your code, it gives you an exception. It says driver service not found exception. The Chrome driver.exe file does not exist in the current directory or in a directory on the path environment variable. That is, now the error says, the exception says that for the Chrome browser, now everybody will get this error. When you will try to initialize your Chrome browser first time, everybody will be getting the error, that is, it is not able to find the Chrome driver.exe file, the executable file for the Chrome browser. So then what you have to do is, that is, we need to pass the path of the Chrome driver.exe file inside the constructor of this Chrome driver class. Okay, alright, so Chrome driver.exe, from where you get it? You can easily get it from the seleniumhq.org website only, the official website. We go to this website. I go to the download section. Okay, and then under the third party drivers you have Google Chrome driver. So you can just download the exe file from here. Alright, so you can download the according to your system. If it is a Linux system, Mac or Windows system, you can download the Chrome driver.exe file. The zip file will be downloaded. I have it already in my system. I'll just show you. Alright, so this is my Chrome driver.exe file. After unzipping the folder, you get this file, Chrome driver.exe file, single file. Alright, so then what you have to do is, that is, we have to pass this path where my Chrome driver.exe file is located in my constructor of the Chrome driver class. Okay, so then I will have to give // in the path. Alright, so then if I execute, so then you see that it now initializes a blank Chrome browser. Alright, so the problem was that you will have to pass the path of the exe file inside the constructor of the Chrome driver. And moreover, you will have to set this path in the environment variable as well. That is, how do you set your environment variables? You go to the properties of your system, advanced system settings, and out here we have environment variables, and under the system variables we have to edit the path variable. Okay, so just look for the path variable, edit this, and then in your environment variables you can, like, the exception was that you will have to either set the path in the environment variable or you need to pass the path in the Chrome drivers class, that is inside the constructor of the Chrome driver. Alright, so either you can set the path over here or else you can set the path in the environment variable as well. This is how we, like, you say new and then you set the path over here. You say if you take the Chrome driver from Nugget, you won't have to do that. I'm assuming when you are setting the path. Can we keep the driver in solution? You can keep the driver, but it is like we usually pass the path in the constructor of the environment variable as well. That is more preferable and that will give you more accurate results when you're working with the Chrome browser. Okay, but don't take it from the Nugget package manager. Since, like, similar to the WebDriver DLLs that we are adding from the Nugget package manager, don't take the Chrome driver or the Firefox driver from the Nugget package manager. They will, like, you will not be able to execute your code. You will find errors. Okay, we have to pass the reference, we have to pass the path of the Chrome drivers exe file either in the environment variable or in your code in the constructor of the Chrome driver class. That is only the way how you declare your Chrome browser. Alright, don't include it from the Nugget package manager. Fine, Harold? Yes, Ashwini also? Yes. Yeah, okay. Yeah. Now, what is this Nugget package manager is like, as I told you, inside the references folder, we usually add the DLLs. The DLLs, what do you mean by DLL? A simple class file, collection of class files that is actually required by us in order to execute our any Visual Studio application. Alright, so all the classes you will have to add under the references folder, and Nugget package manager is just a solution for that. That is from where you can get the DLLs, from where you can get all your common classes, or rather all the classes that might be required by you in your Visual Studio application. All the classes you can easily get from this package manager. Okay, yes, Giri, please mute your microphones. Yes, Giri, can you hear me? Please mute your microphones. Okay. Alright, so package manager console, this is your like package manager, this is the solution for that, from where you can add your DLLs that are required by you in your Visual Studio application. Alright, yes, Giri, have you got the answer? Okay, okay. Yes, Ashwini is saying something. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, we can keep the drivers and in the solution itself, and then you will have to pass the path, like that path only in your Chrome out here. Okay. uh, uh, yes, you can access that, and then you just pass the path out here inside the constructor, out here in your Chrome driver class. All right. Okay. Okay. Yes, Giri, and Giri, your doubt is also clear. Yes, you're right. Yeah, you're right. And like from tomorrow, like in the tomorrow, like in the coming classes, we will be making use of the endpoint APIs to read the data from the Excel file or to generate the extent reports. So for that also, we will have to include the DLL file for those also. So those DLL files also, we will be actually including them from the Nugget package manager only. From the Nugget package manager, you can install, you can take any DLL file that you need. Okay. Yes. Yes. How many ways we can do it? Uh, okay. All right. Yes, Harold, you were saying something. You want to ask? Okay. Oh, okay. That's good. So yeah, there are two ways how you can include the DLLs, either from the Nugget or download it from Google and then add the path. All right. Fine. Uh, yes. Yes. Yeah. Yes. Yes. Yeah, control plus dot it is. Control plus dot, a simple dot. Control plus dot it is. Control plus dot. Okay. Yeah. Or else, yeah. Okay. Uh, okay. Yes, so we have seen the Chrome browser initialization, and similarly for the Chrome browser as well, you will have the, with this object of the Chrome driver class, you fire cd.url function if you want to navigate to any particular website. Say you give the path of any website, say I have to navigate to yahoo.com. Okay, so now if I execute my code, it initializes the Chrome browser and then it navigates to the Yahoo website as well. You see that? It navigates to the Yahoo website. Right. So this is how we usually initialize our Chrome browser. Alright. Similarly, if you want to work on the IE browser, Internet Explorer driver, then we will have to create the object of the Internet Explorer driver as well. Right. So I will first of all initialize the object of my Internet Explorer driver. I press Control plus dot. Okay, so either you can press Control plus dot, or else if you hover your mouse over this Internet Explorer driver class, you get this yellow bulb. Alright, you click on this down arrow and then also you will get the help, the IntelliSense help over here. So you just include the class using openqt.selenium.ie. Okay, so I import the class and then I create the object of my Internet Explorer driver class. Alright, and then I say try to work with the Internet Explorer. So I'll just comment this for the time being for the Chrome browser, and then if I execute my IE browser, so for the IE browser also you get the error. The same error, driver service not found exception. The IE driver server.exe file does not exist in the current directory or in a directory on the path environment variable. The same error for the as of the Chrome browser. That is, for the IE browser also we will have to set the path in the environment variable or in the constructor of the IE driver class. Alright, and IE driver class also you can easily get it from the Selenium HQ website only. You go to the downloads section and out here we have a separate section for the Internet Explorer driver server. You can download the IE driver.exe file from here. Alright, and this is the 32-bit Windows IE or 64-bit Windows IE. Alright, so this is your IE version, not the Windows version. So 32-bit Windows IE would also work in your 64-bit system also. Alright, so you can simply download this, and I have it over here, IE driver server.exe file. So I take this path and will pass it over here inside my constructor, and then you have to give the double slashes in your path. So either you can put the double slashes or else you can even put @ symbol in the beginning. Okay, so that will automatically take double slashes in your path. So I put @ symbol, and then now if I try to execute my code, okay, so it says unable to connect to the remote server. That is my IE versioning problem might be there. I'll just I think since we are working with the Selenium 2 DLLs, okay, so that is why it is the versioning problem. So I'll just check the Internet Explorer driver version as well, and then we'll see. Like in the Internet Explorer driver, this is what you have to do. You just have to pass the path in the constructor or else in the environment variable, and then you can simply work with the IE browser also. Alright, so this is how we usually work with the three browsers, the Firefox, Chrome and the IE browser. Alright, and then yes, as we can see, as we are seeing in the class as well, so what we will be doing is we will be discussing the C# concepts plus the corresponding concepts in the Selenium as well. So that's so in this way you will be able to understand the two concepts simultaneously. right? So whatever concepts we are trying to work, we are understanding, we are working on, we are explaining in the C sharp, that same concepts we will try to implement in Selenium as well. So that will be more clear to you. Alright, so since today we just discussed the concept of the classes and objects and all, and then we discuss the same thing in the Selenium as well. How do you create the object of the particular classes in the Selenium?